day everybody, this is Manny from Manny's Makings, and I have a quick little tutorial for you. I was working on a necklace project, and while I was working on it I realized I was making these what I call beaded spiral beads, seed beads, or spiral seed beads, I don't know what you want to call them, but I'm using these as in conjunction, actually this one here in conjunction with what I'm making. Let me show you. So I'm working on a piece, and these are elements of the piece that I'm working on. So anyway, so I thought it might be interesting to show you how I actually make these, and I made a few others just to show you that you can do them in different size beads. I'm not even sure what size these are, 11s or not 11s, 6s maybe. So you can make them shorter or bigger. This one is tighter than the last one, with doesn't have a lot of big nubs on the end, so that it's more like a bead. This one here has a nice big hole in it, as you can see, and you could actually use this with like a cording. So give you an example. I could use a piece of cord from like this, and this would go over the cord. Now I wouldn't use this particular cord, but the point is that it's big enough to go over the cord and for you to be able to use it that way. So that's really cool. So you could make them and then string them, or you could put them on a wire, or you could do whatever way you want. And that's the fun part, is these ones here were done with a combination of number 10s and number 8s. And they sort of look like a little spirally bit, and that's what I wanted for this particular necklace that I'm making. So let me show you, I'll do you one of these, and I'll show you how you do the ends on it. This is with the size 10 seed beads. So we're going to start with a piece of wire. I'm using 20 gauge silver wire from ParaWire, and I'm just taking a piece and I'm doing 18 centimeters. And I'm just cutting it off. And I'm just going to make sure that the other end is also flat, and it is, so we're okay. So both ends are flat in this case, which is great. Straightening out the wire a little bit, nothing spectacular. Now this is where you get to have some fun. You can use one of these steppers, bail steppers. I call them spikes, but you could use one of these to make it on, and your ends to be on this. You could, you know, of course, use a bigger one if you have it, or bail making pliers if you have them. You can use this is an old nasty piece of house wire that I keep around, and I actually use it for coiling. I think it is 16 gauge, probably even a bit bigger. Maybe even 14, and I can use this as well. So basically anything that's you can coil around, you can use. So for this example, and to make it easy for you to see, I'm using a metal and knitting needle. It's 5mm or US 8, and it's metal. So yeah, you can hear it that it's metal. So I'm using a metal one so I don't mar up my knitting needles. I do some knitting, so anyways, you take your piece of wire. It's pretty simple, and I leave a little bit of a tail, just enough that I can stick my fingers. Let's see if I can show you this a little bit closer. So let me just zoom in just a bit smidge. There we go. See if I can stay on screen for you. So I just take sorry about my fingers, they're all chewed up. I've been doing lots of wire work and they're really beat up. So I just take basically the width of my thumb and I'm pressing it tightly, and I'm pinching it with this finger here to hold it around that. So, and then I just take my wire as I'm holding it, and I'm actually moving the wire, and I'm bringing it up really tight, as tight as I can. Squish this beside it. Do it again. Bring it around. So if you don't want much showing at all in the way of wire, you can do it this way, and you can put them together. You can shove them together with a pair of pliers. Make sure this is good and tight when you start. So I'm going to check on that and take care of that. So just give me a second here. And I'm just making sure that they're nice and tight. I'm just using my pliers. So I'm good. So now you can take this off the needle. And I'm going to zoom back out again for a second here. There we go. So you see I have a bunch of seed beads here. These are the size 10s. These are the size 8s. I can just put them on any way that I want. So we're going to just do this one, and you need to put 50 seed beads. It takes a lot more than you think, because especially if you're doing a big one like that. So your best bet is to sort of start the spiral, check how many times you want to go around. For this one here, I used 50 seed beads because of the diameter of the spiral that I made with the knitting needle. I needed 50 to make, you know, 4 good wraps around it, and that's what I wanted. So let's pick up some beads. And this is the fun part. Now with these little beads in the 20 gauge wire, some of the beads fit and some of them don't. So let's quickly put these on as quick as I can. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, that one doesn't fit. So we'll just move it out of the way. I have a little pile here of this does not fit pile. So I just put it over there. Get it out of the way. And I'll come back to you when I have all the beads on here. Okay, I'm back. I have my 50 beads on my piece of wire, and as you can see, I still have a good little piece of wire left, which you're going to need to sort of finish the spiral at the end here. So I'm going to grab that knitting needle back, and I'm going to stick it back on the knitting needle, so it's back on just the way it was when I was spiraling it. Now I'm going to hold this again, and I'm holding the beads tight up against the knitting needle and the end of the spiral that's on the knitting needle. I'm holding it as tight as I can, and I'm just coming around, wrapping it around, and I'm laying them right beside each other as tight as I can, and I'm pushing down so that it's keeping the beads beside each other. Now when you get to this point, just be careful you got all the last beads, and then I push with my finger and push it down around the piece. So there's 1 and 2. Look at that. So we have about the same amount of coils on either side. We have this nice little piece like this. So this is where we take it off. And it comes off quite easily. It's pretty sturdy. It looks pretty cool. Now you just need to clean it up. There's a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you the one that I showed you the bead that I showed you before, this one here. I'm going to do it the same as this one, but you can do it other ways too, and I will show you that as well. So the first thing you're going to do is find on this wire that's straight, see how that sticks out, it's straight, you're going to find a place where it meets with the round, and it's the same, it's round and round, and they overlap each other perfectly. That's where you want to cut it at, and you want the flush side of the cutters to go against the piece of work. So I'm just going to look for where that is, and I take my flush cutters at 90 degrees, and I give it a little snip. So I have a little tiny piece of wire on that side, and then we do the same on this one. So taking it where they meet, and I'm cutting it. So we have the 2 cuts. So this is what you have. Let's see if I can get this to focus for you. So you can see that they sort of overlap each other nicely. You can't really see where it starts and ends. You can when you do it like this, but they sit nice and snugly. Now at this point you have a couple of choices. One, you could put it back on your knitting needle. Let me refocus here. And you can squish the ends in some, get them as tight as you can. You can use your pliers to do that. Your Nylon Jaw Pliers, mine are over here, just give me a second here. And you can take them and just sort of shove against it. Make sure that it's nice and tight, and that way it won't ever come undone. The 20 gauge wire is pretty secure. You could do that with finer gauge wire. I wouldn't say anything less than a 22 unless it's going to be something really, really delicate that you're not going to have any pull against. In the case of the beads that I was making, for these ones here, they're actually part of a chain. So that's one of the ways you can finish the ends. So one of the ways you can finish the ends is you could take this last, let's see if I can get this up here. Okay, so you can take this last ring and see where it ends here. Let's see if I can find it. There it is right there. I can feel it with my finger. You can take this last ring and basically you separate the two rings out and then you flip it up so that you're making a little round ring. And sorry about that. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that with the phone. So basically you're flipping it up so that you make this little round ring, and I'll show you. See, it has this little, let's see if I can get this to focus better for you. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't want to focus. Come on, there you go, maybe. Let's see if I can. I got a lot of stuff in the background that my camera's competing against and going, what do I want to do? Okay, so see how the ring comes up? If you look at the ring, it comes up and around and it's straight up. And see, it sticks out the side of it. And you can use that to hook on the next clasp. Because this is 20 gauge, it's going to hold up. And I did that for both sides. And what I did is I twisted it a little bit towards the center so that the ring sort of tucks itself into the inside of this here. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to take your round nose pliers, if you have those, and you just grab a hold of the very tip. See if we can get this in focus so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, you're going to grab a hold of the very tip, and you're good, as close to the tip as you can, and I have the tip of my pliers, and I'm just turning this in, and I'm almost, whoops, it's almost like spiraling it. I'm turning it in. Now this is changing the diameter of the bead hole. It's not going to change the actual bead size where the beads are, but it's, see how it's spiraling in? So I'm working on this slowly but surely, and I'm spiraling it in, and spiraling it in. And it makes it more of, you have to tweak it a little bit. And I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and play with it a little bit. Get it laying the way I like it. So you have to tweak with this one a little bit more, but basically what it does is it cones down the end. See how it's a little more narrow on this end now than it was before? Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, so it cones down the end rather than being wide open. See, this is a lot narrower now, and this one's still really wide. So you can do that to both ends, and that's how you can use it that way. You could do all kinds of things. You can leave this a really long piece of coiling, and do some color, and then some more long coiling, and some color, and some more long coiling. You can do whatever you like. It's just a fun little thing that adds a bling of color to the wire, and your imagination is the only limit that limits you. You have to explore with the amount of wire that you need depending on the size of seed beads. With this one here, and it's fairly small, this one I needed 22 centimeters of wire because the beads take up extra wire because they're quite wide when they went through. So, and I had a smaller piece that I started with, a smaller mandrel that I worked on. Whoops, sorry. You can do this on, it doesn't fit in this one. So you can do it on a smaller knitting needle. Sock needles work really well if you have those knitting needles, back ends of crochet hooks. You can use a pencil. Doesn't matter. So these are just some of the possibilities of what you can do and some of the fun you can have. Enjoy making your beaded seed bead spirals, and I look forward to showing you some more interesting things, and maybe I'll even show you the finished necklace once it's completed at the end of this video. So take care and have a wonderful day. Keep making. From Manny's Makings. Oh, and if you like the video, click like and subscribe at the bottom. I really appreciate it. Have all the subscribers I can get, and like it for sure. If you like it, please leave comments. I really want to know if you liked this video, if you want more like this, if you want different videos, what it is that you're looking for that might be helpful to you. So take care and have a good day.